you know the value of your life insurance policy? A new public company is helping millions of people look at life insurance as an asset. Let's dive in. Today, we are excited to have Jay Jackson, the CEO of Abacus Life, with us at MarketBeat. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today, Jay.
Absolutely excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to hear your company's story in really a unique space. Share a little bit about what Abacus Life does.
Sure. Abacus Life is an alternative asset manager, a global alternative asset manager that focuses primarily on purchasing assets that are predictable and consistent that might be traditionally uncorrelated through the market using our actuarial data and our lifespan data to help set the value. And that makes us a really unique business that investors today are really looking for. How can they invest in assets that don't have the types of correlation that you see related to interest rate sensitivity and market volatility? And we're the company that originates those assets. We're the market maker in those assets, and we're also the asset manager in those assets.
You had a lot of big financial terms there. So breaking it down to what Abacus Life provides, it's really about life insurance. Talk about who your customers are and kind of your target group.
Sure. So what's really interesting is that in our name, you see it's Abacus Life, which we thought we were being clever early on in the sense that abacus being the first calculator. And really, the life part was the idea of calculating your life, knowing the value of your life. And so we purchase life insurance policies, we don't issue them. And that is a really unique kind of twist because what happens is that life insurance is used for a purpose, a specific amount of time, but then very rarely actually passed on to the heirs. And what I mean by that is life insurance is about a $13 trillion industry. Of the 13 trillion, which by the way is 2.5 times the US residential real estate market, of that, 90% of those policies, or 9 out of 10, never pay a claim to the beneficiaries. And
Mhm.
it's not because the life insurance company has done something wrong. It's because we don't treat it like an actual asset. The Supreme Court ruled life insurance is personal property, but we don't treat it like personal property. We don't treat it like our home. Instead, we just stop making payments on it because we think, oh, it's served its purpose. And what we do is educate all of our policyholders and clients to say, hold on a minute, you have an actual value just like your home, and you have a choice to recognize what that value is in today's dollar. And we're licensed all across the state, it's very regulated, and provide this service to those millions of policyholders that bought a life insurance policy and didn't know they had a liquidity on it.
And it's been around for a long time. Your company, I believe, 19 years old. How has it
Mhm.
grown and developed over that time and gained success in that time too?
It's done very, very well. So, although many times for many people, this is a newer idea or concept to them. However, we've been in business for nearly, well, actually over 20 years now. We've purchased over $5 billion of life insurance policies over that time period. And here's what's really interesting. We went public about 18 months ago. That introduced us to a whole nother set of not just investors, but asset managers and lots of different investors who would look at this asset today much differently than they would have then. And that's really broadened the audience to hear what's really happening in the underlying asset.
Again, you said your goal is educating people, and you do that a lot through commercials. If you watch CNBC or any other large network out there, you've probably seen an Abacus Life commercial. What's the goal of all of those commercials you're running right now, Jay?
Sure, and you've probably seen me on them. And so we even ran on Monday Night Football a few times last week. And the goal is very simple. We designed and built an easy to use calculator that somebody can quickly assess the value of that life insurance policy without having to speak to anyone. They can just simply put in the size of their policy, their age and gender, and the policy type. And literally in just a few seconds, it helps assess for them what the actual value of that policy might be based upon how they assess their own health. That alone has driven tens of thousands of policyholders to us just searching for information. And that then provides them a baseline to get an idea that says, wow, maybe I shouldn't lapse this policy. Maybe I should keep it in force for a little while longer because it might be worth 100,000 or 400,000 or even $500,000 where they were just going to stop paying on it and think it was worth nothing. And now with just 30 seconds, they can actually find out. So we've had a huge success with those commercials and the response has been tremendous.
So part of your company is educating consumers out there about the value of their actual life insurance policies. But there's another aspect to your company that's very interesting to people, and that's how you're calculating lifespan. Talk about
Mhm.
that.
So we aggregate data related to lifespan, and here's how we do it. And the reason why we do it is for someone to know what the current value of their life insurance policy is. They need to know first how much longer you might continue to pay on it. What we do is help people solve and understand what's the today value. If you're 75 years old and ideally you want to, you're probably going to live, let's say, to age 90. In 15 years, if you have $1 million life insurance policy, assuming you keep paying on it, then it will be worth to your estate $1 million. But what's it worth today? And you have to deduct out those insurance premiums and you have to understand, well, okay, what's my probability of living for the next 15 years? What is my lifespan? And the first thing we do with clients is that we get their updated medical files, we re-underwrite them in today's terms and help them have a better understanding of what their probabilistic lifespan is on a go-forward basis. That data is really valuable. And in addition to just their life insurance policy, we are also applying that data to their financial and estate plan. So many times people are worried about, gosh, I'm going to run out of money in retirement. We can help solve that by having people understand, first and foremost, how long are you going to be in retirement? I think that should be the first question anyone asks themselves before they do a retirement or estate plan is, okay, well, how long do I think I'm going to be here? And we can provide that accurate data.
I think that's an interesting concept a lot of our retail investors are interested in for themselves, but I think they also want to hear about a lot of your company financials too. Before making an investment in a new stock, our viewers really care about the financials of your company. So let's talk about kind of this steady revenue growth that you've seen, especially since going public.
It's interesting. Again, we've been doing this for 20 years and these numbers have been relatively consistent. It's just that the investment public is just learning about us as a company that so when they start to look at this analysis, they're like, wow, where have you been? There's three key things, and we trade on the NASDAQ, and we ran this statistic, and what we looked for, we're saying how many other companies have mid-teen year-over-year growth rates, top and bottom line, that have return on equity greater than 18% and have an EBITDA margin or a profitability margin, a profit margin of greater than 50%. And I'll pause just so your audience can try to think about how many companies would meet that criteria. Consider all the companies that trade on the Nasdaq, which include Microsoft. It's just us. We're the only company on all of Nasdaq that can state that. So here you have a business that's been in existence for 20 years that is highly profitable with great margins and has been doing it consistently for the last 2 decades. That's what's rare about our business. And so many times people today are looking for investments or individual stocks that they invest in, and they're concerned about, oh, hey, is this just a growth stock or do they actually make money? Should be the first and foremost question, particularly you ask in today's kind of volatile market.
Absolutely. And it sounds like you've got a good answer with your company for that question. Let's move on to talking a little bit about growth. Where is your company going as far as expanding, maybe adding additional assets or programs to what Abacus Life provides?
Where we're really starting to capitalize and monetize on is all of the data that we've aggregated over the last 20 years. Keep in mind, understanding lifespan, and it's a very important and kind of a hot topic, right? Several of the last New York Times bestsellers are based on longevity, lifespan, and health span. We have the data. And we're actually providing that data, starting to work with government agencies, as well as informing people on how this lifespan can truly help monetize some of your other assets that you may have, particularly your financial plan. So some of the things we're very excited about, we started rolling out our lifespan tracking to pension funds so that they have a better understanding of how they can best manage their pension and their unfunded liabilities and what their underlying pension needs actually look like. We're also taking that data and applying it to target date funds. Target date funds have raised nearly $1 trillion in the United States, where effectively you pick a target date, meaning 2035, some point in the future, but you pick it without knowing what the actual target date is. Those should be customized to each individual. And when you start to think about how we apply our lifespan data, it can be fundamentally applied to a lot of different industries, but specifically in financial planning. All of a sudden now you will have the tools to be able to make really informed decisions as to whether you should be investing more heavily in equity or debt, or depending on what your asset allocation may be, based upon actually what the time is that you need to use it for.
Well, let's talk about competition in this field. Are there other companies out there providing a similar service? And how much of this space is Abacus Life currently occupying?
So we maintain a very large market share. And part of that's due because we've earned that market share through 20 years of business support and relationships. We partner with over 30,000 financial advisors across the United States. We work with tens of thousands of consumers directly, not just educating them on what the actual value of their life insurance or market value of the life insurance policy might be, but also educating them on how this could potentially apply to their estate plan. We are the only publicly traded company in our entire industry. There are other companies in our business that focus in different areas of the origination piece, but we're the only company that's gone the step further and said, let's make this available and transparent, and validate what everybody can now look at our assets and our balance sheet and potentially invest in it. So, we're in a very fortunate position where we maintain over a quarter of the market share in our business. And in addition to that, we're the only publicly traded option for any investor to really get involved with. And so we're thrilled. And when you look at the growth prospects of everything we're doing, think about the addressable market we have in front of us. We have an addressable market that Google would blush over. Think about it. It effectively impacts nearly every American. There's $13 trillion of just the life insurance piece. But when you start to roll that into other sides of financial planning, it shouldn't be any surprise that we're having conversations with the largest financial institutions in the country looking to apply and use some of these data sets.
That kind of leads to my next question, which is investors are always curious about the risk and the future potential growth for this company. Are there any economic factors or changes in policy or things that could impact the future growth of your company? Or, like you said, is this a product that really truly will continue to impact everyone?
I think we're at the very early stages here, which means that you're mitigating a lot of that, what we would call compressed yield growth. And in our case, because you look at the overall size of the market is so large. So there are so many people that are just learning that this is a financial option to them and then applying this longevity piece to financial planning. We have a lot of run room still left to go. And frankly, this is a pro-consumer transaction. So the regulators, it's heavily regulated already. The regulators really like this transaction, right? Think about it. We paid out just in 2023, $220 million to consumers. That $220 million on average went to people over the age of 70. Think about how they're applying that. Maybe they're not having to go on Medicare or Medicaid even sooner, right? Like we're putting a lot of liquidity into what might be deemed as a market that wants to maintain their dignity and integrity, and now they have the resources to do so. So where we sit today, we are in a terrific position from both a regulatory as well as a market position to continue to maintain these growth.
Well, the last question I like to ask is, as the CEO of this company, what excites you most about Abacus Life? The way this company is run, the products you offer. What about running this company makes you most excited every day?
When people think of Abacus, what I really hope their takeaway is that we are improving the quality of life for seniors, for their families, for their caregivers, just on the insurance side. And when you can change someone's quality of life, and you can truly put wealth in a place that they didn't think that they have it, that's what gets me up in the morning. So our purpose is about education and truly having an impact. When you look at the underlying tagline of our company, it's know the value of your life. People don't place a value on their most important asset, which is their lifespan. And what we think we can do is help people better understand it. And if they better understand it, they can place a value on it. And if they do that, now they're going to be able to expand this into several other areas of their life. So purpose and quality of life is super important that I think Abacus is providing.
Thank you so much for your time today, Jay, and sharing more about your company with our viewers. Thank you for watching MarketBeat and learning more about this company and many others. You can find lots of videos just like this one right here on our channel. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about Abacus Life and whether you might be adding it to your portfolio. Thanks again for watching, and as always, happy investing.